The other day on Instagram, I shared that I have been in my current relationship for the better part of 18 years. And in doing so, you all reached out to me with many questions asking for relationship advice. So, in order to answer these questions, I've decided to, in this video today, share my top 3 tips on healthy relationships. First of all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. I'm Annie, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring spiritual consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to help you raise your level of being, not just your level of knowledge. So, in contemplating healthy relationships, I coincidentally came up with the 3 C's of relationships in preparing for this video. And the first of these C's is communication, good communication. But I don't mean the emotional word vomit like recommendation that most people give, or the self-imposed counseling without a therapist recommendation that people give. Good communication actually starts with self-reflection, which is part of why I love one of Jordan Peterson's pieces of advice when it comes to arguments, saying that you should, separate yourself into different rooms and then contemplate what you did wrong, not what they did wrong, what you did wrong, and then go back to the conversation, having genuinely thought about how you did something wrong, which is what created a problem to begin with. Good communication starts with good self-reflection, being able to get quiet enough for long enough to have that neutral mind that we are creating with our spiritual practice, to not just identify how you feel, but why you feel that way, what got you to feeling that way, and then voicing that, because just voicing that you feel a certain way doesn't really help anybody but you. And that's what communication is about having, both sides get something out of the situation and help both sides resolve the situation. So that you feel a certain way doesn't entirely help the person, not certainly as much as being able to do something like the last argument I got into with my significant other. He and I started getting heated in a conversation, which was really silly. So I stopped it right there and said, "Hey, I don't think I understand your point. Or if this is your point, I don't understand why this is turning into an argument, because our points don't contradict each other." Being able to turn it on yourself and then ask questions, so important. I call this conversation before frustration. And you can do this not only in moments where you're starting to see frustration form, but long before that. I will literally be self-reflective in moments where I will just literally voice how my thoughts are forming, not even just my thoughts, but how they're forming. And in doing so, we can avoid one of the biggest mistakes that people make in relationships, which is assuming that the other person or you know the other person well enough to be in each other's heads. Nobody's psychic here. Even if you think you're psychic, in this way, you're not psychic. You're not in their head. They're not in your head. Nobody should know each other well enough to make assumptions. It's one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships, is making assumptions about the other person, or assuming the other person can make assumptions about you. Don't do it. Don't assume it. Ask questions and be self-reflective enough to be actually able to voice not just how you feel, but why you feel that way. What got you to feeling that way? Because nobody makes you feel that way but yourself. So this isn't about blaming the other person. Nobody's actions made you feel that way, though their actions might be what you're responding to. And being able to bring voice to that is important. But we have to be able to recognize, even though your action is what is the thing I'm responding to, my response to this actually has nothing to do with your action. and more this thing in me that gets me to this place in these situations. This brings me to my second C, which is compromise. Because healthy compromise, actual healthy compromise, is a massive, massive tool when it comes to healthy relationships. And I don't mean the kind of compromise where one person gets what they want and the other person is completely giving in. And so then there's resentment and all the things. That's not healthy compromise. That's one person getting what they want, even though the other person's boundaries are being overstepped and nobody's actually having a good time. I mean, actually, equally, one person giving as well as getting, the other person giving as well as getting, so that when all is said and done, neither person feels like they've had to give up anything to maintain the relationship. And we can all do this with everything. It's not as hard as it seems, and I can honestly say that this is part of what's made my relationship strong for the last 18 years, is us being able to sit down anytime we don't totally agree on something and find a balanced and reciprocal way to compromise rather than just one person giving in on either side. And this last one is, and I spared you guys from starting this with more than words because I feel like I've reached my musical quota for the week. Consistency of action is my third C. And when I say consistency of action, I actually mean the little things, not like the big grand gestures that people call the little things that they expect people to do for them all the time, but the actual little things. Like, how do you like your socks folded? Finding the little things that the person likes and doing those things for them. As well as, my favorite thing to do is rather than tell the people that I love them, I tell them that I appreciate them. But more than that, I show them that I appreciate them through engaging in conversation with them, even by asking questions. It will always be funny to me because I've had a lot of friends who are guys when they are surprised that I remember a conversation we had about a video game. Because you're right. No, I don't really care about SWOTOR, but I do like Star Wars and I am interested in you. And so what I do is, though what they might be talking about might be something that I'm not interested in, I can find an aspect of it that I'm interested in, or something within it that's similar to something that I'm interested in, and compare it. And then because I'm asking questions and engaging in the conversation, they're not just talking at me. And so I actually remember the conversation that we had. And so the person then feels like I've actually taken an interest in them rather than faking an interest in them, because I actually have. It's not as hard as people think. We don't have to fake it in this sense. We can actually find ways to engage in conversation with each other that is, again, reciprocal. And, honestly, and I bring this up in one of my first YouTube videos ever. One of the important things when it comes to consistency of action is also recognizing that the time apart also makes the time together more healthy. So you don't have to like everything the other person does. You don't have to want to engage in everything the other person does. And it's actually healthier to not engage in the things you don't want to engage in. Like, what a revelation. I don't understand why we have this stereotype of the healthy couples being the ones that do everything together. Even the couples that have a lot of things in common, that spend a lot of time together, like he and I do, you know, they also have things that they don't do together that they will do with other friends, because the foundation of a healthy relationship, any healthy relationship, is a friendship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. And being able to recognize that we, and I will say this over and over again, have friends that we like to do certain things with, and then we have friends that we like to do other things with, and that is more than okay. It's the way life is going to work, and it's the way healthy life works. And being able to recognize that and have those healthy moments away from each other strengthen the moments that you have together. It's the contrast. So, these are my 3 C's of relationships: good communication, actual compromise, and consistency of action. That more than words, not just telling the person that you love them, not just telling them that you appreciate them, but showing that you appreciate them. This is my top 3 tips for healthy relationships. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. I'm not going to say hit the notification bell because I realized I was being a hypocrite in doing that, because I was just repeating what other people were saying, and I don't engage with the internet that way. So me recommending you have your phone yell at you more when I don't have any of my notifications turned on, that wasn't very mindful of me. So I'm not going to say turn on the notification bell anymore. I mean, if you want to, go for it. I'm just not going to recommend it anymore, because you don't need your phone yelling at you any more than you already do. Although you can turn off external notifications, but still have internal notifications turned on. I do that. But I don't have external notifications turned on. I only engage with my phone, the internet in general, consciously, which means not having my phone yell at me to pay attention to it. I only get on my phone and do something when I think to do it. So that's what I'm going to recommend everybody else do. So, like, subscribe, comment, not just with me, but all of your favorite YouTube creators. It's an inexpensive way to participate in sacred reciprocity through the universal law of abundance, to expand, raise, brighten, magnetize your vibration. And as always, may the energies you serve you well. Let's keep making our way through. Don't forget to check out the links in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.